World Cup Digest, number 24. Your boy Dominic Rich, Football Pharaoh, and we are back to discuss the second semifinal between France and Morocco. France 2, Morocco nil. And I predicted the Morocco win. You went for France, but I always knew that France would have won the game. You know what I mean? My head told me that France would win the game. But I just wanted something different, man. I wanted something out of the ordinary, something that, would have the world talking. And, a Morocco in the final, ooh, that would have been crazy, though. But wasn't meant to be. And the semifinal is where the end comes. But they do have a third place match to play in to see if they could pick up the bronze medal, which would be quite fitting for a team like Morocco after what they've done. How are you feeling, bro?
Hey Dom, I'm doing okay. Thanks for having me back again. Just wasn't meant to be. You, there was always a risk of the dream coming to an end eventually, and they knocked off three giants before this with Belgium and Spain and Portugal. They just couldn't go one step further this time today. They had chances, but it was just too much against the defending world champions who are back in the final. So
Wow. And you could see a name there says four finals in 24 years. That's an amazing feat. And we were actually discussing that this is the seventh final since the 32 team World Cup was introduced. And these guys are dominating, man. Only missing the final in 2002, 2010, and 2014, which is insane when you really think about it. So give it up to LeBron, man. They got a good system going and they've done well. Created a lot of great players over the years.
yeah, for one country to appear in a majority of World Cup finals in the modern era under this format is just insane. No other country has even come close to replicating that. No other country has even three finals appearances in that same period of time. France is a very much so a World Cup team. It was,
Indeed, indeed. So the team that comes close, of course, Argentina with two. Brazil, they do have two as well. And the Germans do have two in, 2002 and 2014. But France, they're just in a league of their own, it seems, man. And you wouldn't bet against them to actually go on to win back-to-back World Cups, the first team to do so since that 1958-62 Brazilian team, man.
yeah, I know for sure they're in pole position to do it, and there's one more game away from making history. Not only replicating what that past Brazil team did, but kind of like putting away that ghost in French football away from that devastating 2002 campaign when they entered that as defending champions with arguably their best generation of players ever. So this would cap off a great story for them. 98, 02, 18 to 22 for sure.
Yeah, indeed, man. So look, to talk more about the game, France 2, Morocco nil. Theo Hernandez in the 5th minute, Randall Kolomuani in the 79th with basically his first touch of the ball. Is there a stat that says it's the fastest World Cup goal? Because he wasn't on for very long and he pull an Ebe Sand on us,
Yeah,
from the 98 World Cup. So that was quick, man. That was quick. And it just shows this young, well, he's still young, but he's not like a 21-year-old or anything. But he's now burst onto the scenes and he's been playing at Eintracht Frankfurt. And he's really been catching the eye, man, for Frankfurt in the Champions League, in the Bundesliga as well. And he got a late call up because of course, the absence of a Karim Benzema and a few other players who couldn't make the cut. And he's really stolen his opportunity. This is only his second chance since the Tunisia game, and he's really put his hands up as a player that they could call on off the bench in the final, maybe. You know what I mean? That's crazy, right? That you didn't even think about making a French national team like a year ago, and fast forward, and you're scoring in a semifinal.
of a World Cup. 6 months, even just 6 months, is a long time in this sport. Things can just change on their head, and players can make or break a case for them to be considered for a role such as that. And you love a good redemption story. I think players
Indeed,
that are
indeed,
underestimated and they go on to do something like this.
indeed. So look, first thing I noticed today when I was when the game started, I think Regragui kind of went wrong with the lineup. I don't know if you feel the same way or you feel any different, but I think he went in way too defensive, man. Like you never, and the thing is, right? Why change a formula that's been working? You've been going in with basically a 4-3-3 or a 4-1, Amrabat holding behind the other two midfielders, and you change things up. He changed things up. Why did he go with three center backs? He basically went in with five at the back today, and I was like, what?
Yeah,
What's going on here?
5-4-1 is what he
Yeah,
used.
why did he do that though? You see what I mean? And then he was forced to change through Sais's injury, like within 20 minutes. So that means Sais wasn't even fit. So if he wasn't fit enough and you guys knew it, of course, you want a player to strap it up and go and try his best. But this is a semifinal you're talking about. It could have been better if he stayed on the bench and if needed, come off the bench. You see what I mean?
Yeah,
And trust the guys that you have available, Dari and Eliamik, send them out, keep the same formation. Amala, who was brought in and then later taken out. You should have kept, okay, you played a whole tournament with a formation. I don't care if you're coming up against France. You've gotten past Spain, you've gotten past Portugal, Belgium with the same formation. Why change today though? Why change? It's like changing. It's like something's been working for you. It's like it works for you to wear red and green throughout the whole tournament, and then today you want to wear yellow. You know what I'm saying? Like, you see what I mean?
you could chalk it up as an example, perhaps, of overcoaching, maybe showing France a little bit too much respect. One thing that really struck out to me from this that I didn't expect was you had Ziyech. He was dropping back at times to help with the back line, especially. And I thought that the way Morocco approached this match, even though yes they had opportunities, that they looked comparatively more conservative, let's say, to their previous games. And I mean, did Regawi get it wrong? I think you could possibly say that, but like at the same time, a 5-4-1 against this French team, I can understand it. But do you feel it limited them going forward?
But the thing is, right? All right, you play the five. You play. Okay, here it is, right? He played. He started with the 5-4-1, and then he had to end up reverting back to the same old 4-3-3 after Saiz had to go off. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So and then that happened after they went behind. I could have understood if they were still 0-0, then you're gonna be like, all right, you got a bit lucky there that you didn't survive, you didn't concede a goal, and Saiz got injured, so you had to revert by bringing on Amala and having a three in the midfield again. So you think about that. It makes you think. It makes you really, really think. And that's the only thing I could think about because you mentioned that Morocco they never went behind, and now they've had to play a game where they were behind, so they never had a chance to test their plan B if they even had a plan B at all. And we saw there was none. There was none today. You see what I mean? Even though they had end up with three shots, the same amount as France, they had the majority of the ball, but they were lacking the quality in the final third of the field.
yeah,
You know
62% possession, which is not something one would think for Morocco heading into a game against a team like France. But like you said,
exactly.
even they had more. They had better passing sequences. They had more pass accuracy than France did, but they were just really lacking up top. There were so many chances for Morocco to at least equalize. And
Yeah, I felt there was many times when they had those chances, they didn't press the trigger. You know what I'm saying? Like, just take a shot, man. It could have hit a foot. It could have hit, you know what I mean, an arm. It could have hit a shoulder and beat Lloris. And you know what France did is testament to the point I'm making right now, because both of their goals were just opportunities that they took a shot and it hit a player, deflected, wrong footed the keeper, and then of course Theo Hernandez, he with a great finish, put that away. And even the Colomouani goal, Mbappe, who took the chance again, it deflected off of a Moroccan player and fell to Colomouani. And if Morocco had done that, it's like they were waiting for the ball to fall on their strong foot, waiting for an opening. Like, just take a shot. You see what I'm saying? And I don't think they did enough of that during the game. You feel me?
I
If you if
agree.
if you go back to the Croatia Argentina game, it's different, because I did read that Modric said after they conceded that penalty, which they think wasn't a penalty, it just knocked the life out of them. It just deflated them because they felt defeated. I think Croatia felt like, God damn, like, we worked so hard to get here and they give a penalty like this. You see what I mean? Like, really? But in Morocco's case, it wasn't the same thing. It happened in the fifth minute. They went behind. They had 90 minutes, because, in fact, in extra time, to get back in the match, but they just couldn't find a way. And when it comes to experience in the coaching department and everything, you got to give it to the Champs, because, all right, Upamecano and what you call it, Rabiot, they got ill. He didn't force Upamecano, and I was calling for Upamecano to get dropped a long time and play Konate, because when Konate's played, he's looked really good. And Konate, in my opinion, okay, Griezmann was given man of the match. In my opinion, it was Konate, because there were many times Morocco were threatening. Who came up with the big tackle, with the big block? Ibrahima Konate. I'm telling you, he was the man that won France this game today. Not Griezmann, not Mbappe, not Theo Hernandez and Colomouani. It was Ibrahima Konate at the back. He was a rock, and he was breaking up everything. He was tackling everything. He was cutting out everything.
Yeah.
Go back, guys. Watch the game. You'll see exactly what I'm talking about. I have nothing but praises for this defender, man. Doesn't matter if he's a Liverpool player, you know what I mean, big rival in the league or whatnot. He was damn good. And look, Deschamps could have forced Upamecano. Hey, man, run out there, play. But he has faith in his backup. You see what I mean? And he sent him out there and he did this. Look, he could have put Kunde at center back, bring on Pavard at right back. He could have did that, but he went for Ibrahima Konate, and he came up with the goods. So credit to the Shams. Fofana, I'm not gonna say he had such a great game and he should start the final, but you got to start Konate in that final, though. Konate starts that final for me. You see?
One thing I would also add, I think that France deserves a lot of credit, is I felt like Thuram's entry, he completely changed the composure of the game,
True.
because like he had a good game offensively, but mostly he shut down Morocco's right side, and that right side was the same one that was toying with Hernandez all night.
Yep.
And I also felt like the Giroud sub also helped a lot, because there were moments when Mbappe couldn't track back much, and he was basically leaving Theo to get double teamed.
Mbappe never tracks back. That's the thing. It was only late when the Chance probably had to beg him to track back, because
Yeah.
he never tracks back. And I mentioned that in my preview. And the other thing is with France getting that goal early in the game, it helped them not to really need the possession, right?
100%.
And Giroud was given instructions to follow Sofiane Amrabat for the entire game, to negate and nullify his effect on the match, because he would have the ball and pass and control things, and he couldn't do it. You see what I mean? Because Giroud was always there, and you could have seen like a lot of times when Amrabat had the ball, he like misplaced a couple passes. He always had to go back. He couldn't like push forward. So it was somewhat of even though he had an okay game, it was an off game for a player like Sofiane Amrabat. I think Onahi still had a good game, but it's just the quality in the final third that let Morocco down, in my opinion.
And that, and also because of the fact that from those substitutions when Deschamps took Giroud out and Mbappe was staying up front where he was, and then when Thuram came in to help, more chances started to come in. And that's the thing with France is like these guys. The early goal certainly helped a lot, but these guys they just win on autopilot. They've been suspect defensively this whole tournament. This is the first match they kept a clean sheet. But France will find millions of different ways to hurt you. I haven't seen anything quite like it. And for a team, any team that comes up against them that's lacking in that clinical ability to put away their chances, they're going to make you suffer because France will pull out of their behind. They will pull out a goal from nowhere or something scrappy. Or just one or two little adjustments, substitutions from Deschamps to change the complexion of the game. And they're either back in business or they just run roughshod over teams, even if they don't play particularly convincingly. And that just speaks to overall the quality that France has. Morocco, they struck the post, I believe, a couple of times in the second half. Not once, twice.
Yeah, Morocco had their chances that and I know we'll get to it with the overhead kick from Yamik. That was pretty spectacular if that had gone in. That was one of the few times when Lloris was actually tested. You see what I mean? And what was there another really good chance then? They didn't have a lot of opportunities, but I just think they didn't take their chances. You see what I mean? They should have taken their chances and they didn't. Even when Ezal Zuli came on, ran to the byline, he didn't take his chances. You see what I mean?
Yeah. The fact that France, after they went 1-0 up, they reverted back to like sitting back more and playing on the counter. It was smart because sitting back basically allowed them greater vertical space for Mbappe and Dembele to operate through. And Morocco didn't really have an answer for that. And going back to what you said earlier about Morocco, I didn't get to comment on like the back five really that they used, but maybe they really should have not have started Saiss and they should have just left Amala and leaving Amala out in midfield because like it was something that Morocco were just not used to the whole tournament because they used a back four and maybe it caused some confusion or some like disorganization at the back.
Yeah, it's the biggest games of your lives. You know what I mean? I think you don't change anything. You see what I mean? That this is not the moment to change and experiment. Maybe when the third place match come around, if they had got knocked out anyways, you try something in the third place match, but not in the semifinal. Exactly, of a World Cup. You feel me? And going back to the point you were making with France, after they scored early, they didn't need to show much intent. For
right.
What? This is a huge semifinal game. You mess up, you make a mistake, you get punished.
Yep.
You're gonna look back in hindsight and say you should have did this and you should have did that, like what we're doing talking about Morocco right now. You see what I mean? These guys knew what they needed to do. They kept their poise about them. They had that early goal. They tried. The deflection came, fell nicely to Theo Hernandez. That was a great finish. He put it away. Morocco was stunned because they have not gone behind in any game so far. So now they had to do something different. So the plan, setting up five at the back, it just went out the window in 5 minutes, literally. Yep. Where you now had to chase the game and you now had to change the whole formation now. You see? And now you have an extra defender on the field that you don't really need. You think if Saiss if he needed to stay on, he would have stayed on. But at the moment, they didn't need him. He had to go off. He was a liability at that time because they needed to attack now to get back in the game and even score another one if they had gotten the equalizer to win, and go 120 minutes that Saiss would have never been able to do on the day. So the plan backfired. Didier Deschamps deserves a whole lot of credit for, his management and for keeping calm as well, not really panicking. They got their goal. They sat back. They allowed Morocco to have the ball. They weren't even pressing a lot. They weren't even crazy pressing, like trying to win the ball back. Let Morocco do their thing. The play broke down. France, they counter. And they looked dangerous whenever they went forward. Do you believe France had 30-something% of this ball? 30? What was it, 38?
Oh, it was it was way less. Let me see the stats here.
Yeah, I think it was about 38% or so.
It was
They ended.
38%. That's wow.
Yeah, the same amount of shots as Morocco, same amount of shots on target, but look at the key stat 2-0. If you looked at this scoreline by not watching the game, you would say, oh man, France, they bombed, they beat Morocco off the park. No, Morocco had most of the ball, most, same amount of opportunities, but the chances that they got, it was like, okay, speculative in a way with the overhead kick, and there was another who hit that shot from distance that was Onahi with that shot from
It
distance
wasn't
that
I.
Hugo Lloris saved, and there was another one that wasn't even a really clear cut chance, in my opinion. So I don't think they tested Lloris enough. They tested him, but not enough. They should have taken a few more shots. I would have liked to see Ziyech with a shot. The more quality players did not get the shots. And Azari, he didn't get enough opportunities when he was on the field. Buffal, why don't these guys get the opportunities? The opportunities fell to the wrong players, in my opinion. You know, and for France, look at their goals. Look at the way they scored both their goals, bro. Tap ins, basically. Theo Hernandez, yeah, it required some technique, but he was there for a ricochet tap in. Kolomuani, basically tap in, a striker's tap in. So it's not that Morocco played badly or they were outplayed throughout the game. It was just that France had more quality personnel on the day, and it was the difference.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. One thing I would say about France, I think it is a concern, is I feel like they're missing a great holding midfielder because even though Griezmann, he's like playing in his role well, he's not supposed to be there to bring the ball over the halfway line. He's supposed to start attacks and combine, which is what he's been doing. But I feel like France they need someone who can recycle balls and move the block up, especially if they want to capitalize on counterattacks. So I feel like maybe if they had Conte in this World Cup, they would be much more confident on the ball in that area of the pitch. But I mean, look, we talk about like the options they have off the bench, we have, and just the overall depth they have. They've been operating fine so far. But if they end up not winning the World Cup final, it could be a case where we look back on it and we think, yeah, you know what, maybe they could have used someone like Conte in that role. Griezmann, being the primary workhorse, wasn't enough in the end to go the full distance. Also, do we know for sure if Rabiot is going to be back for the final? Because I know he didn't start. He didn't play today.
Well, what I'm hearing is he's really bad. He's so bad that he's in bed. So I don't know if he's going to be ready for the final. So it might be for Fana again, or if they try something else. But I don't think you want to try too many things. But you don't think Chouameni has done a great job in the holding role, though?
I think he's done adequately. It's just I don't know if there's any real true like replacement that can do it to the extent that we know that Conte does in that kind of role.
Yeah.
And the thing is that like if I had to pick or choose between one of them, I go with Conte any day of the week. But I mean, France are getting it done regardless. So in 5 days' time, they're world champions.
They could be.
If I'm saying no, I'm saying if in 5 days' time. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
So just to close out this game, Morocco it was a valiant effort. First African team to reach the semis, almost made it to the final, but that's just almost. Where do they go from here? It's the third place match coming up. Do you think they go all out to win that third place match, go home with bronze? Or do you think they take this third place match to give the backup brigade some time? Or how do you think they approach this?
It's impossible to predict because you never know how teams personally feel about the consolation prize. But I think Morocco will go for it. My hunch is that they'll care for it more than Croatia will, because for Croatia, this is not new ground. New ground for Croatia would have been to win this World Cup, considering what they've reached the stage on 2 previous occasions already, the semifinals. So I think it means more for Morocco if they were to get a medal from this tournament. So if I had to guess, I would like to see both teams go all out and try to win it, give us a hell of a third place match, but I think it would mean much more for Morocco. Therefore, I think they'll approach it in a much more serious manner. How do you feel?
Yeah, I do echo a lot of your thoughts, and credit goes to Morocco with Rodri. I hope they actually hold on to him and treat him good, not just get rid of him because of a hiccup during the AFCON qualifier or during the AFCON or whatever that's coming up next in 2024 early. Hold on to the manager. That's how you develop continuity and bring quality players into the team, man. Morocco could start something great here with this World Cup run, not just disappear like Turkey did after the 2002 run in the World Cup. You see? So you got to stick with the manager. You got to stick with the players as well. And, you know, special mention to guys like Sofiane Amrabat, man, who's the French president came out and said that he's told him he was actually in the Moroccan dressing room. I forgot to mention that. And he was actually, in the French dressing room, Macron. He
Yep.
said, Sofiane Amrabat, he told him he's the best midfielder at the World Cup, so kudos to him. And guys like Onahi, man, Hakimi, of course, we know. But I didn't know about Onahi before this World Cup. And Sofiane Amrabat I knew about, but I didn't know he was this good. You see what I'm saying? So Morocco, they've had some breakout starts from the World Cup. They've seen some regulars, shine and do well as well. And it would be a World Cup to cherish for a lot of these players and something to look forward to for the 2024 event, 2026, pardon me, once Morocco qualifies, because we know Africa is weird when it comes to that, man.
For sure.
You could do well. You could with Africa, you could win the World Cup. You could win the World Cup and not qualify for the next one if you're not careful. You know what I mean? That's the thing.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty much.
So just to look ahead at the final, France, Argentina this Sunday, man. We're gonna talk about it some more, but this is as big as it gets, and this is exactly what FIFA wanted. They got their wish. Messi versus Kylian Mbappe, Griezmann, Enzo Fernandez, and all these guys coming up against each other. It's one to look forward to, and it's one that we will discuss some more in the future. I don't want to touch it. I don't want to touch it too much right now.
Sure. We'll get there. We have about 4 days to go. So, but yeah, now we know our finalists. And respect, all credit to Morocco. They got one more game to play. I hope they play that third place match like it is a final. We're gonna find out. One of those two countries, between Argentina and France, are gonna get their third World Cup trophy.
Indeed. But we will talk about this some more. My little man's getting fussy, you know what I mean? Life, things come in the way, you know what I mean? But we had to get the episode done any which way you put it. So look, Football Fair, we're gonna land the plane. I know we could stay here all night and talk, but we only had one game to talk about pretty much, and I think we went on long enough, and I think we broke it down as best as we could have. So we will talk again tomorrow or the next day when we talk some more about the third place match and the final. I think we might actually. Do you see? I think I've decided who I think is gonna win the third place match and the final already. So next time we meet, maybe we discuss both in one episode. You know what I'm saying? Maybe we do that.
Sure.
Yeah, maybe we do that because it wouldn't make sense to do an entire episode about the third place match. You know what I mean? So maybe we talk the final, and then we talk the third place match at the back end of that episode, which will be the next episode 25. How fitting, man. How fitting.
25.
A quarter century. 25. We'll be talking about the final of the 2022 FIFA World Cup. So take it away, bro.
Well, thank you for having me on. Hopefully we'll see you guys soon. You can find me on my YouTube channel, link in the description box below. You can also find me on Twitter, Football Pharaoh @SoccerPharaoh. That's at soccer_Pharaoh. And tournament's nearing its end, guys. Make sure you stick around the next few days, the content that we generate, and stick around well beyond that as well. Till next time, God willing, peace out.
Peace.